Hey everybody, how we doing today? It's Big Ed here, and I'm going to talk to you guys today about the $40,000 renovation mistake that you don't want to do if you're looking to sell your home. A lot of people are looking to improve their house. A lot of people are actually looking to make things better. They think if they put X, Y, and Z in their house, that they're going to actually make more money. It doesn't always work out that way. Now, the two biggest things that people do improve are usually kitchens and bathrooms. But I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about today is a couple that spent over $60,000 renovating their home, and when it's sold, now it's a little different. Just a little while back. So when it sold, they only got a $20,000 rate of return on their investment, which is crazy. So a couple of caveats here when we're actually looking to buy or sell a home, and when you're actually looking to make any repairs to your home. I was just talking to a couple the other day, and a lot of times what I tell them is number one thing you really want to do is decluttering. But we'll talk about that later. About this couple, they wanted to put a lot of money into it. They thought they would get a better rate of return. And you also have to look at where you're buying. Now, in this case scenario, or where you're selling, this case scenario at the time, now you can tell this was a few years back, houses in one area of South Jersey were about 315,000 um, in a upper middle class neighborhood at the time. But the couple didn't like the way that their kitchen looked and then some of the bathrooms, and then they wound up spending almost $60,000, which was crazy. And ultimately, what they really want to do is just spend about 20. But we'll get there in a minute. So today on Educated Homes, I'm going to tell you why you should not make a $40,000 mistake. So let me get started in this. A couple in Camden County called me after they renovated their brand new kitchen. They put in quartz countertops, custom cabinets, high-end appliances, and they even moved the wall. Great. That was great for them. They loved that. That's what they wanted to do. But that cost was like just under $60,000, right? So the problem, as I said before, the neighborhood average at this time when they did this, okay, so 60,000 was a lot, but the neighborhood average was about $315,000. So, they put basically a $400,000 kitchen in a $315,000 neighborhood. Not good, because you're not going to get that rate of return. So let that sink in a little bit. So when we ran the comps, so we looked at the MLS data, we looked, buyers weren't paying extra for luxury upgrades at that time. I mean, look, the market's changed a little bit. So you, as you guys know, but this is like 5 or 6 years ago, and you never know. It could come back and it could swing that way. But you don't want to overspend on upgrades to your house if you're not going to get a rate of return. You want to make sure that money comes back to you, and do it in a way that you're not spending a lot of money, but you'll be able to be smart with your money. So like I said, when we ran the comps, they just wanted, people in the neighborhood just wanted the house clean and updated, right? So we listed it at 349,000, and after negotiations, at that time it sold for 335, which was less, a little different than today. But I'm just telling you because I'm giving you guys a case in point. So without the renovation, it likely would have sold at 315,000. So they netted maybe $20,000 of their $60,000 investment. I'm telling you this right now because you don't want to put too much money into the renovations, and then you're losing out on your profit margins that you could actually get when you're looking to sell a home. So the renovation was 60,000. The value that it was only added was only $20,000. So there was a $40,000 loss, right? So you really have to be careful. So here's the rule that most homeowners don't know. You don't renovate for what you like. Not what you like, okay? So if there's anything special, like if say if you like seahorse handles on your cabinets, okay, or something ridiculous like that. Sorry, Mom. But if you like those kind of things, don't make sure you don't renovate for stuff that you like. You really want to look at what's selling, right? So when you do those renovations, you want to make sure it's cost effective, look at what's selling, and then be able to do it that way. You renovate for what the market will pay for. Have to, right? You don't want to just have any crazy things or super upgrades or things like this that you're like, because honestly, you're trying to sell your home, you're trying to make it look neat, and people want to place themselves in that home. They don't care about you nor your likes. Okay. So just give me that background. So you really don't want to over improve for the neighborhood. You don't want to put like 60, $70,000 kitchen in a house in a neighborhood that's maybe worth like maybe $350,000. It doesn't make sense. Emotional decisions versus investment decision. You use your head and you say, you know what, rather than your heart. Because a lot of times when people go in the store, oh, I think they'll like this. I think they'll like this. I want to put this there and that there. But no, what you really want to do is have it so people can see themselves, like I said, in the space. You want to make sure that it's clean, warm, inviting, friendly, those kinds of things that people want to be them see in the space itself. Rather than saying, "Oh, I think these quartz countertops are the greatest thing, and I think this color or that color," and you just go hog wild. So that's why if you ever look at the flippers, when guys flip homes, you look at they do a lot of the same things over and over again because that repeats because that's what's selling, and their number one thing is profit margin. So what I'm saying to you is not that you necessarily have to think like a flipper, but you have to think when I have an investment, I want to make sure that investment that I'm investing, if I'm investing in my home, that people are going to like it and you appeal to the masses. That's important. So your return on investment also depends on your zip code, right? You want to look and see what's selling. You want to look and see what's selling in your zip code. You also want to see how much money is being spent and how much money you need to get those homes up to date. If you're seeing a home that's sold quickly, what you want to do is basically go through the pictures. You could copycat and you know that somebody else will buy that house because they have multiple people looking at it. So buyers, what they'll do, and you guys probably done it already if you go on Zillow, Realtor.com, one of these, they compare homes side by side, right? So you have this home versus this home. Well, look at this kitchen. Look at this. Look at that. And they want to see what meets their needs in the best way possible. And then, like anything else, comparison shopping, what they can live with versus what they cannot live with. So you want to make sure that you have a nice clean area. Like I said, decluttered. If you look at the pictures that we have up here, there's no clutter. Everything's clean. It's pretty much neutral. So those types of things do sell because people could see themselves in the space and they like it. It's more warm and it's more inviting. That's what you want to do. So once you tie it back a little bit, if the house down the street has laminate counters and sold for $325,000, buyers will not pay $375,000 just because you love quartz. I mean, I don't care if they have gold inlays in them. You're not going to pay $50,000 more for wonderful countertops. Okay. So before you spend a dollar renovating, call a local agent who understands your market. Give me a call. I'll come to your house. We'll look at what's been selling in your neighborhood and then also develop a plan that's actually going to not only save you money, but it's going to net you money at the end of the home selling process. And I've saved sellers thousands just by telling them what not to upgrade, not to put X, Y, and Z. Paint does wonders for a home, guys, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. So, you can check out my friends at Credit Home. They do a great job with the property improvements. You can see this one of our sponsors. They'll come in and they'll paint your house, and it doesn't cost as much as doing a major rehab remodel. Not that they can't do that; they can do that too. But I'm just saying, if you have somebody that you're working with, your trusted contractor, you don't need to do major renovations on a house for it to sell. But what you want to do is put yourself in the game and make sure the rooms are neat, clean. They are depersonalized as much as you possibly can and decluttered as much as they possibly can. Okay. So, if you have windows, don't replace them. If they function, why would you, right? If they're functioning windows, make sure you keep them. And honestly, you're saving yourself money. Windows are very expensive. So you try to make changes and try to make those types of changes. But You don't have to do that. And the only time we really have to do that if they're asking for it on a home inspection and you negotiate that out, you might want to replace your windows or something like this. That could happen. Okay. Don't finish basements in starter neighborhoods. Okay. Finished basements are, usually get your starters in. They're there for 3 or 4 years. They're not going to put that much money into their basements. So unless you want to do it for yourself, I would not finish a basement in a starter neighborhood. Don't add Don't put a Viking stove in a starter in an entry level price point. So the 200,000, 250, 300, 400,000, even 400. I know that sounds crazy. It's a beginner's price. You don't want to put upper level appliances in there. That it just doesn't make sense. Okay, you want to just keep your regular generic appliances. Everything's clean, functioning, works well. Great. That's what you want. You're never going to get a return on investment on something like this unless the guy's a chef or something or a professional of some sort that way. You want paint, flooring, curb appeal. Those almost always pay. A nice clean room, a nice clean space. Like I said before, I said it like 5 times already. So having the place clean, having clean paint, um, curb appeal. When you go outside, what does that look like? What does your yard look like? Is it neat? Are the bushes trimmed? Are you don't have like trees overhanging your roof? Those things are going to come back to bite you if you do. So make sure that you really look at the curb appeal and you always look at through a critical eye. What do I mean by that? It's pretty simple. What you want to do is look at it as if you're buying your own house and be critical. Be critical of it. And that's going to help you when you're going to sell your home. So, just in closing, if you're thinking about buying an area such as like Merchantville, Pennsauken, Cherry Hill, anywhere in South Jersey, message me the word educated and I'll send you a pre-list for return on investment strategy so you don't make a $40,000 mistake. This is Educated Homes and Smart Sellers Win. Hope you guys have a great day.